Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This has been a very much requested, anticipated video. I have gotten an overwhelming amount of requests for this video, so I'm gonna go ahead and apologize for how long this is gonna be already, but this is what you wanted, so I'm here to deliver. All right, I had to go on a scavenger hunt. It took me about half an hour just to find all of my fragrances, okay? Because we moved and things are still in boxes. My beauty room is not organized, and so it took quite some time to find all of these bottles, okay? Some of them haven't even been opened or used, okay? So there's that too. All right, first up, I want to talk about my Louis Vuitton fragrances. I have these two. Both of these were birthday gifts. This is my favorite. Like if I had to choose between both of these, they're both wonderful, but this one is my favorite. And I'm not gonna go ahead and butcher that name because you all know I'm gonna fail anyway. So this is my favorite Louis Vuitton fragrance. The moment I smelled it, it was love at first smell. There was absolutely no doubt for me. Spell on You, which I can appreciate the name was in English. My husband actually gave to me for my birthday, which I found to be, you know, very sweet and just, you know, a very aha moment because my birthday is in October and he chose Spell on You. You know, very a little spooky name. He knows I love Hocus Pocus, the movie, and so it was a sweet birthday gift. He did good. But I keep these normally in their vessels just because these boxes are very sturdy and they keep the fragrance protected. Louis Vuitton does sell cases for the fragrances. I just don't own any of them. And so therefore I keep mine protected in these vessels. Next up, we are gonna talk about, I'm gonna go by brand because I clearly have a type. So let's go ahead and start off with Jo Malone. So with Jo Malone, I have quite a few fragrances from them. First up, we are gonna talk about English Pear and Sweet Pea. This is one that was released, I think, last year. I got it in this limited edition bottle. And the only reason I purchased the full size, because I usually do not purchase fragrances in the full size, obviously because I have so many, that in order for me to make sure that I'm actually going to be using these fragrances to their last drop, I usually purchase smaller bottles. Now, if I had a smaller collection, then yes, I would probably own bigger bottles. And just so that we're clear, this is the smaller size of the Louis Vuitton fragrances. And just for reference, these bottles are 3.4 fluid ounces. So like their small size is actually like the larger size in typical fragrances. Usually a 3.4 fluid ounce is like the largest you're gonna get in, like, for example, a Jo Malone fragrance or Chanel or whatever, Givenchy, you get the point. Their large size, like Louis Vuitton's large size, my husband, when he purchased Spell on You, he didn't realize that he was buying the larger size. And when I got it, guys, no lie, it was like half a gallon of milk. I mean, I exaggerate, but that's what it felt like in the hand. It was abnormally large, you know? It needed to go back. I needed the smaller version, yeah. So I did exchange it for the smaller version. Anyways, English Pear and Sweet Pea. I purchased this. I love this fragrance. It's a play on their English Pear and Freesia fragrance, and that fragrance is my favorite fragrance from Jo Malone. So when this rendition came out, of course I smelled it, I loved it, and I was gonna purchase the small size of this, but again, I had a gift card and then there was an event where you got money off of a certain amount of money you spent. So I ended up getting almost like 30% off, 30 to 35% off of this fragrance when it was all said and done. So it was a no-brainer for me. I love it. I don't regret having it in my collection. It is a very heavy floral fragrance. If you like florals and you want something that just has a hint of sweetness, because I don't like sweet fragrances, I highly recommend this one. And just for the sake of this video, I'm not going to be talking about notes or putting those on the screen, because then this would be more than an hour. So just take a whiff. I'll kind of describe them to you and then we'll go like that, just so that we don't all get bored. Next up, I have the Jo Malone Rose and Magnolia fragrance. This is in a limited edition bottle. This came out for the holidays. And it's absolutely stunning. This is a fragrance that comes and goes. Like, Jo Malone releases certain fragrances during the holidays, like that orange one that everybody loves. That is, it's like my memory's failing me right now, but you guys know it's one that I even gifted it to a friend of mine, and it kind of smells like Negroni, like that drink Negroni, but when I put it on, my pH completely like changes the smell, and it doesn't smell pleasant. So Rose Magnolia is one that whenever it is released, I do pick it up, because it is one of my top fragrances from Jo Malone that I really do enjoy. And this one I got in the bigger bottle because it only came in this size. So this was released, I think it was 1 or 2 holidays ago, and it only came in this size. Sometimes they do that, so I just went ahead and I picked up the bigger version. Next up, these 2 fragrances are part of their permanent line, and we have Velvet Rose and Oud and Rose Blush. Now these bottles are limited edition bottles. They were released during a Valentine's Day like 3 years ago, I think. And these are great. Definitely Rose Blush is much lighter than Rose and Oud. So if you like Rose and you want something very soft, very sophisticated, Rose Blush. And if you want something deep and you want that heavy rose scent, something a little bit more seductive, I would go with Rose and Oud. This is magnificent. I love this fragrance, and of course, because the bottles are limited edition, I will be keeping the vessels even after I'm done with the fragrance. Now, next up I have Ginger Beer. This is one that I never heard any talk about. I never got any kind of like email or propaganda, ads, whatever. You know, Instagram's always pushing stuff, right? I never heard that this fragrance was gonna drop at all. I happened to come across and stumble across this fragrance at Blue Mercury, and I smelled it and I was like, yes, 100% I need to have it. However, again, this one only came in this size. Then this is only 1 ounce. It smells beautiful. It's juicy. It smells creamy, buttery, and it has that ginger scent that we all love. Not to be mistaken with the holiday fragrance that I also own, which is Ginger Biscuit. That smells like a gingerbread cookie. This smells like ginger beer, which is what they were going for. It has that like warm, buttery scent. And I find that this is a very much a summer transition to fall kind of scent. It's a soothing scent. That's what it is. It's soothing, it's comforting. I don't even know if this is still available, but there you go. Obviously, speaking of ginger, still have these in the box. I have Ginger Biscuit from last holiday season. I'm hoping this comes back out this year, because I know a lot of people missed out on this fragrance. Bloomingdale's had an event where they taught you how to make a gingerbread cookies. just for this launch, and you got invited to it if you purchased a ticket. Like, you know, it was open to everybody, but then you got your bottles painted if you wanted them painted. I love this particular fragrance. It's very comforting to me. It smells like, not exactly like a gingerbread cookie, but it does smell like the holidays, and it's very pleasant. So it smells like a much warmer, kind of sweeter version of a gingerbread cookie, and it's very nostalgic. I personally love it. Now, at the time, Bloomingdale's only had this size, so I purchased the big bottle of the fragrance. I also purchased during that holiday release, which when I read the names, I found it to be very strange that these were being launched, you know, together until I smelled it. Green almond and red currant. Again, I got my bottle painted because it was during this event. And this one did come in 2 sizes. It came in the medium and the bigger. I decided to go with the medium. Honestly, when I read the name, I thought this was gonna smell terrible, but it actually smelled really, really good. And my skin agreed with it. So I went ahead and I picked up a bottle. And this smells, it's very fresh, but the red currant and the green almond, like, it has that shift between light and airy, yet with a hint of warmness. You definitely get a very fresh, fruity scent due to the red currant that's in there. And the green almond gives it that very slight, warm, comforting scent. Again, it's a very delicate balance. I find this to be a very unique scent, and really nothing in my collection quite smells like this. Same with, you know, ginger biscuit. I mean, this is on a league of its own. I don't really have anything that smells like it. Not even ginger beer smells like it. So next up, we have the very famous Wood Sage and Sea Salt that we all love and adore. This I picked up during a Nordstrom anniversary sale. We all know, we all love this fragrance. It is the perfect, to me, it's a perfect like spring and transition to summer fragrance. I love this. I've purchased the body cream, the body gel for this. It smells amazing. However, it's a brand new bottle. I haven't even cracked it open because I'm in the process of using other fragrances. Usually what I do is I will use my fragrances from oldest to newest, unless there's one that I want to skip the line, and then I'll make an exception. But usually that's the way that I use them in order to pan them and like move on and enjoy the rest of the things, the rest of the fragrances I have. Next up, I have Jasmine, Sambac, and Marigold. This is a very heavy jasmine fragrance. If you don't like jasmine, you will hate this. This, to me, smells like the most seductive floral fragrance. And although it's a floral kind of fragrance, I mostly see myself like wearing this for like dinner, like a nighttime kind of fragrance. I find it to be seductive. I find it to be sexy, and I don't know, it just gives me all of the date night vibes. So I purchased a small size. In this one, I really like it. This is part of their Intense line. So these fragrances are gonna have much more of a lasting power, and it's gonna be a lot heavier. So if you don't like heavy fragrances, I would stay away from their Intense line. Now let's talk about Chanel. I have, believe it or not, only 2 Chanel fragrances, actually 3. And I don't know where the 3rd one is because I've looked for it and I can't find it. I'm sure it will appear after I'm done doing this video, and it's Chanel Coco. Just Coco Chanel, okay? That fragrance to me is definitely a winter fall winter fragrance. That fragrance is super unique. I think that the color story of that, it just morphs into something different as the hours pass by. It's one of those fragrances that you can literally smell note by note as you start wearing it. Like you'll smell one note at first, then after an hour you smell that second note, and like that. It's really like telling a story as you wear it. But of course, I have the classic Coco Mademoiselle. This is the intense one. I got this again during an anniversary, Nordstrom anniversary sale. It came like with a flash lipstick, and this is just a staple, you know. I always have this somewhere in my collection. This is a small bottle. It's 1.2 fluid ounces, and yes, it smells exactly like the typical Coco Mademoiselle fragrance. Is just heavier, much heavier. I find that I only need one spray of this and I'll be good for the rest of the day. Lastly, I have Paris by Chanel, and I literally refused to buy this fragrance when it launched because they only had the big bottle, and then it sold out, and then they kept saying that they were gonna get the small bottles, but it took them like a year and a half to stock on the small bottle, which I don't even know what. Oh, okay, it's 1.7 fluid ounces, the small bottle. This is a very bright and crisp fragrance. It smells amazing, but to me this is a very much a summer fragrance, and that's what I usually pick it up for. It just, when I wear this, I just want to go to the pool and lounge and maybe have some kind of cocktail by the pool. That's what the vibes that this fragrance gives me. I'm very annoyed that my bottle has the sticker off center. I know that may be dumb for some of you, but this is a luxury fragrance, and when I pay luxury prices, I expect perfection. Okay, so I'm not, no, that really bothered me, which I'm not even gonna get into that right now, but let's just say that that's part of the reason why I have stopped buying some Chanel products. We'll leave it there. Next up, I want to talk about Tom Ford. I only have 2 fragrances from Tom Ford, and really because these are the only ones that I like. Cherry Smoke, maybe, but I don't know, I don't love it enough to pay more than $300 for it, you know. I have the small bottle of both of these fragrances, Bitter Peach and Lost Cherry. I got it during a Sephora sale, you know, that annual sale that they have, and I also had a gift card to Sephora, so I got a pretty good deal on these. And honestly, Bitter Peach to me is very much like a summer transitioning to fall kind of fragrance. I know that it's, you know, peach, you think of like summer and spring, but I don't know. It has a very warm depthness to it that just gives me that summer transitioning to fall kind of scent. I really do love it. The lasting power of the Tom Ford fragrances are very good. And of course, the very famous Lost Cherry fragrance. Let me tell you something. I don't know why, maybe one of you can explain this to me in the comments, but I don't know how this fragrance has not been replicated time and time again. You know how there's like a lot of fragrances on the market that'll smell similar to each other. But Lost Cherry is one of those fragrances where the cherry was just so well executed in this fragrance. Like this smells like cherries, literal cherries. It is seductive, but you can wear it during the day or at night. Like I don't specifically see myself wearing this for date night. This to me like is that fragrance you can wear either night, day, and still smell fabulous. But the cherry is there, and that is the main note, and it remains as the main note as you smell it. What I find a lot with most cherry fragrances is they can't execute that cherry scent. They have so much they have so many other things going on within the fragrance, like with other notes, that it ends up just overpowering the cherry after like 20 minutes. And really the only reason why you're wanting to buy a fragrance that has the name cherry in it is because you want that cherry scent. And I think that's my problem with like the other cherry fragrances Tom Ford came out with. I think it was electric cherry, smoke cherry, and something else, or cherry smoke, is that the cherry doesn't really last too long. And I don't know what it is, like, because I don't like make perfumes for a living. So maybe executing a cherry scent is much more difficult than we may think. But I just want you to know that every single fragrance I have purchased that claims to smell like cherries does not. It does not. That's just my 2 cents. And I'm not a fragrance connoisseur. I want to let you guys know. Those of you who've been following me for a long time are like, yeah, girl, we know. We know you are a barbaric troll that has no idea what you're talking about when it comes to fragrances. I'm not a fragrance connoisseur. I am just a regular Joe Schmo telling you the fragrance that I do and do not like. And I never push you to purchase anything. I always recommend you guys smell it in the store before buying it, especially when it comes to luxury fragrances. So I just try to describe it as best as I can. Speaking of Tom Ford, this fragrance by Kayali is called Love Fest Burning Cherry. Now, this was not advertised as like being something that was gonna smell identical to Lost Cherry. However, because it had cherry in the name, I was like, let me go give it a whiff at Sephora. I happened to be there when they launched the fragrance. I read the notes. You have burning cherry, raspberry, praline, palo santo, guaiac wood. Okay, I had to like pronounce that 45 times in my head before I actually said it out loud. And patchouli. Honestly, when I smelled this, I just thought, you know, it's gonna be just some kind of like very sweet gourmand kind of scent. And when I smelled it, I was like, holy smokes, this smells almost identical to the Tom Ford Lost Cherry fragrance. I did a whole video about it. Again, that video, I mean, again, we can agree to disagree on this, because I know you fragrance connoisseurs are there like, no girl, that does not smell exactly like the Tom Ford Lost Cherry. But to me, these smell almost identical. I said almost identical, if not the same. And the lasting power on the Kayali fragrances is actually very good. I love this fragrance, and I can't really tell you that after I'm done using my Tom Ford fragrance that I'm gonna purchase another Tom Ford. It's probably just gonna be the Kayali one. And that's my 2 cents on that. And the price, it's much nicer than the Tom Ford. So if you haven't smelled this one, highly recommend you smell it. Like, spray this on one arm and spray Lost Cherry on the other, and then tell me if they don't smell very similar to each other. And really, it's the only fragrance I've actually smelled that smells similar to Lost Cherry by Tom Ford. So there's that. Next up, let's talk Givenchy. I have 3 fragrances from Givenchy. I have, again, not gonna butcher this fragrance, the name of this fragrance. So those of you who speak French, just go ahead and let me know. But this one is just like the original. I really love this fragrance. It's one of my go-tos for the summer. This smells very fresh, very bright. It has a bubblegum scent to it. Kind of like, what is that bubblegum I used to, Bubble Yum. Bubble Yum. You guys remember Bubble Yum? It has a Bubble Yum kind of scent, but obviously very sophisticated, and it's not very overpowering, and it's not very sweet. So I'm just saying it smells a little bit like bubblegum, but mainly it's a beautiful, fresh, bright fragrance, and it just makes me feel like summer is here. I really love this fragrance for that. I find this one to be a very work appropriate fragrance as well. So I love this. If you don't own this, just smell it, and it's a crowd pleaser. This has been around forever. This is an OG fragrance. I mean, everybody knows about it. But I truly love this fragrance, and it's gonna be it is part of my project pan for this year. Next up, because I love this one so much, I picked up the Rouge version and the Intense version because I wanted that same fragrance, that same DNA, but in fall or winter kind of rendition. So I did pick up the Rouge. Like, first of all, let's look at this bottle. How beautiful is she? And it has the same DNA as its original, but again, this one's a much more seductive. I find that it's very fall. And then the Intense version, I find, like, it's a black bottle. I mean, how stunning is this? How stunning is this? Again, I purchased these small bottles. These are 1.7 fluid ounces. And although this one is supposed to be like the Intense version of the original, I find this to be, both of these to be like very fall winter. And I really enjoy it. So that's really the reason I picked these two up. It's because I actually just fell in love with this fragrance, and I wanted something like this that I could wear during other seasons. Another fall favorite for me is, and this is a polarizing scent. Not everybody likes it. Some people have said that it smells like cat pee on them. Yeah. So it is the Fenty fragrance. This is the 2.5 fluid ounce bottle. At the time, this was the only size that was offered. Since then, they have come out with various sizes for this particular fragrance. This is my favorite fall fragrance. I hoard this, and I literally only pull it out during fall. This is the perfect fall date night fragrance, but that I can also wear during the day. To me, it smells like chocolate and roses. That's what it smells like to me. It does not smell like cat pee. Shame on you. Shame on you. My skin loves this. Like, the pH does not change the fragrance. This just, to me, smells like chocolate and roses. It is warm and floral. Despite the description on the Sephora website, that's what it smells like to me. Chocolate and roses. It is so comforting. I absolutely love this fragrance, and I hope Fenty never gets rid of it, because I'm gonna be real upset. But yes, this is an amazing fragrance. Again, very polarizing, and I'm assuming that the people who said it smells like cat pee is because probably the pH of their skin changes things, and I understand you. My skin does that all the time with fragrances, which is why I'm super picky with any fragrance that I buy. Oh, I missed one Jo Malone fragrance, Pomegranate Noir. Again, another polarizing fragrance. You either love this fragrance or you hate it. This to me is a very winter fragrance. This will punch you right in the throat, so don't apply too much of it. This is one of those fragrances. It's very unique, and when you wear it, people know you're in the room, okay? And they also know what you're wearing. Like, anybody who has smelled this, they know. They just know. When I smell this on somebody else, or somebody's burning this candle in their house, I'm like, oh, that's Pomegranate Noir. That's how unique this fragrance is. It's beautiful, honestly, but it is a very winter fragrance. It's dry, it is spicy, and it has that like slight sweet pomegranate scent, but it's definitely very spicy, very in your face, very prominent. And this is the small, I own the small version of this particular fragrance. Next up, we have a fragrance that I never talk about because this is it's very special to me. I bought it during my honeymoon with my husband, And you also can't buy it in the States. It's from the Merchant of Venice, and it's called Rosa Mocenija. I'm probably butchering that, but that's what it's called. It's the vessel is made out of Murano glass, and I usually wear this during my wedding anniversary, Valentine's Day. It's just one of those fragrances that I will forever treasure. I will never get tired of. Find it to be very niche. It is elegant. It is probably the most elegant rose fragrance I have ever smelled. If you are able to pick this up, I picked mine up in Verona. They had a little boutique there, and the moment I smelled it again, it was love at first sniff. And I would have bought more fragrances from this line, but we had a limit as to how much we could bring back, and so we had to be savvy about what we would purchase. The lasting power of this is just as good as like any of my luxury fragrances, Henry Rose, Tom Ford. The lasting power of this is insane. It is so good. Highly recommend. If you live in Europe and you have not smelled that, please do so and get back to me, because that's one of my favorite fragrances and I can't buy it in the States. Next, we have Miss Dior by Christian Dior, and I have two fragrances here by Dior. This is a classic. I always have it in my collection. This is like one of my favorite fragrances to wear all year round. It's a crowd pleaser. It just smells really good. And this was a birthday gift from my husband's grandmother. She knows I love this fragrance, and I usually always have this in rotation in my collection. Truly an amazing fragrance. Again, this is a small bottle at 1.7 fluid ounces. The next Dior fragrance I have is J'adore, and this one is their alcohol-free version of this fragrance. Funny. This does not smell like the original J'adore. It smells different, and I much prefer the way that this smells because I'm not a fan of the original J'adore fragrance. So first of all, let's admire this vessel. It's alcohol-free, and it's J'adore Deux. I mean, I'm gonna show you the bottle because I already know that that's definitely not how that's pronounced, but I keep it in its box. There's some fragrances I keep in the box because I'm afraid to break them and I don't want them clacking around, you know? I don't want to accidentally knock this over, you know? It doesn't have a very wide base. So I love this. This is very soft. However, this I don't find will last as long as like a Tom Ford or Chanel fragrance, but it has very good lasting power, and it smells very fresh, very soft. So for those of you who really don't like, are sensitive to fragrances, do not like very strong fragrances, and you really don't want something to last all day because it either gives you a headache or it makes you nauseous or whatever, I highly recommend this one by Dior. It smells absolutely amazing. It'll give you probably like about 6 hours before it starts to, you know, wear off, but it smells very good. It's very soft. It definitely smells like soapy, floral kind of scent. Very fresh, kind of straight out of the shower kind of situation. Smells really good. If you haven't tried this one, I highly recommend you give it a sniff. Oh, and I forgot, I did have another Chanel fragrance here. This is the Le Rouge No. 1 de Chanel. This fragrance was launched with the No. 1 makeup line by Chanel and skincare line. The skincare of this line has a scent, and this is literally it. This is how many? This is a 3.4 fluid ounces. This is the only size this fragrance comes in. It is very fresh, very out of the shower kind of body splash situation. It has a very soft, clean, with a hint of floral kind of scent to it. and this is not gonna last more than 4 hours. So if this is kind of like your vibe and what you're looking for, you want something that's not gonna really last that long but smells amazing, I recommend this one by Chanel. This honestly is a fragrance that I would wear all year round. I can't categorize this in any kind of season. It's a crowd pleaser kind of fragrance, and you can just wear this anywhere and smell delicious. It's also not offensive. Like if you walk into a room, you know, it'll be pleasant pretty much to anybody who's sitting next to you. Next up, Henry Rose. This is gonna be a long list. This is gonna be a long list. You guys already know which are the fragrances that I love by Henry Rose, but these are the ones I currently have. The other ones that I have mentioned that I love, I don't have them because I've panned them. You know, Queens of Monsters, we're done with that bottle. Sheep's Clothing, we're done with that bottle. So these are the ones that I still have within my collection. The first one I want to start off with is one that I hauled during last year's Sephora sale. This is Blonde Berry by Henry Rose. This is their body spray. This is not your typical body spray. All right, if you're looking for something that is gonna last a lot longer than your Bath and Body Works body splashes, this is it. But it's also not gonna last as long as the fragrance. So you'll probably get about 5 hours of wear with this, and this smells amazing. So my husband has, I bought him, I think it was Boys of Summer, and he likes it because he smelled it, he told me he likes it. But my husband rotates his fragrances, so he's not into this whole project pan situation. He just wears what he wants when he wants. So he has Boys of Summer, and he really likes it, but his favorite fragrance from the line is Jake's House, which I have here right now. But this Blonde Berry, it's obviously very fruity, but I find it's a soft, fruity scent. It is not sweet, and I think that's why I like it. It smells wonderful. It's very soft on the skin. I love that it comes in this kind of metal vessel. You have to shake before using it. I really love that this came in a 6.7 fluid ounce bottle, because if it's supposed to be like a body spray, then you're gonna use a little bit more of it than you would, say, a typical fragrance. I also love that it comes in this metal vessel because you can stick it in your purse or your gym bag, or if you're traveling, very easy to travel. You don't have to worry about breaking it. If you drop it on the floor, it's metal, you'll be fine. So if you haven't tried this, it's a very good body splash for those of you who want something a little bit more elevated. Now let's talk about her, you know, the Henry Rose fragrances. For those of you who don't know, this is a clean fragrance line by Michelle Pfeiffer. So those of you who are like allergic to rose oil and certain scents and notes give you a headache, highly recommend the Henry Rose line. The lasting power of these fragrances are just as good as any top-notch luxury fragrance, just as good as Louis Vuitton, just as good as Tom Ford, Chanel. I would say they're even better than, I would say, Chanel, but Tom Ford has their fragrances last a really long time, so I would just say it's just as good as Tom Ford and Louis Vuitton. The first one I want to start off with is Jake's House. This is a fragrance that both my husband and I share. This is his favorite fragrance. If you're looking for an aquatic fragrance, this is it. This, I feel, is a very genderless. I can see a man and a woman wearing this fragrance. Her whole line is genderless, but to me, when I smell something, I either in my mind categorize it as masculine or feminine. And that's gonna vary depending on the life that you lived, what smells you gravitate towards. And I'm a person that makes memories with fragrances. So that's why my categorization of like masculine and feminine are very much 80s, 90s inspired. But this truly is a genderless fragrance. It smells absolutely stunning. Very aquatic, very watery. Love this. Next up, we have Smith. This is one that I pull out. Oh, I forgot to tell you, my husband wears this all year round. He doesn't care. I tend to pull this out in the summer. I really like it in the summer season. Smith is one I pull out during spring because it smells like Granny Smith apples to me. Like Michelle Pfeiffer executed the smell of apples so well. It's just so good, yet it has a very fresh scent without it smelling sweet. I feel like sometimes apple fragrances can smell kind of like an apple cobbler. Not that, you know, I don't like apple cobbler. It's just when I look for an apple fragrance, I want it to smell like fresh cut apples that haven't been cooked yet, you know? And this is what that smells like. Absolutely stunning, and there's nothing in my collection that smells quite like Smith. So if you haven't given this one a try, I highly recommend. I have a coupon code for this in the description box below. You can use my affiliate link. You get $10 off your order. These fragrances never go on sale. So I know $10 is not a lot, but something is something. Next up, we have Flora Carnivora. I got this in a set with Jake's House, and I also had like the travel version of this. So I've panned Flora Carnivora quite a few times. Again, to me, I tend to pull this out like spring, summer. Very fresh, a very fresh floral. And it has like a little bit of a sparkliness to it. Very slight, but it's there. Really love this. This is actually my mom's favorite fragrance. So she tells me every year when she's running out, she's like, hey, I'm running low, so I'm gonna need another bottle of that. Whenever you're ready, honey, whenever you're ready. Gotta love it. Next up, we have Windows Down. This I actually bought for my friend Maria. She absolutely loves this fragrance, so because she loves anything that has bergamot in it. If you're looking for a really nice bergamot scented perfume, Windows Down is where it is. But to me, besides having that bergamot scent, I get the smell of violet in here. It's very violet, bergamot heavy. Those are the two notes that I smell in here. Again, this is very unique. I don't have anything in my fragrance lineup that smells like this. This I find is one of those fragrances you can wear all year round. And it's gonna be a crowd pleaser for sure. This is another fragrance I want to get for my mom because I feel like she would really like this as well. But if you haven't tried Windows Down, highly recommend. It's really a good one. This one, which is the last one I'm going to talk about in the Henry Rose line, is actually limited edition. And this is Jake's House British Virgin Islands BVI. You guys have heard me, like if you follow me on Instagram, you guys have heard me talk about this about 1,000 times. I was so excited about this launch because, like I said, Jake's House is a very famous, very well-loved fragrance in this household. And I love this. However, my husband was not a fan. He still prefers his original Jake's House, which is fine. And however, I absolutely freaking loved it. This smells exactly what they were intending for it to smell like. It smells like a beach vacation. I am not a person who purchases fragrances that smell like coconut. I cannot stand tropical scents. It is not my vibe. I do not want to smell anything close to suntan lotion, suntan, you know, blocker, SPF. I don't want to smell like that. And I find a lot of the times tropical scents that claim to have a coconut note in it smell like that. And so I don't own any tropical fragrances. This, however, is very much a tropical fragrance. You have coconut water, jasmine, white amber. I mean, they did such a good job at executing this without it smelling like sunblock. It is, again, I find to be obviously very unique in my collection because I don't own anything that smells tropical. This is very sophisticated. It is considered like a floral aquatic kind of scent, and I would have to agree. It really does have a very delicate balance of being aquatic yet floral, but it has just the essence of coconut sprinkled right on top. It is so good. It is so good. However, this one's limited edition, so if you want this, I suggest you buy it now. The coupon code still works on this, even though it's a limited edition fragrance. But this, once they sell out of this, that's it. Like, they're not gonna bring it back. I'm glad that I was able to snag a bottle because it smells really, really nice. However, this is definitely a fragrance I will only be using during summer. It smells amazing. Next up, we have Glossier. This is their You fragrance. I bought this little set during the holidays at Sephora. It came with a travel size and the full bottle. I have the candle burning right now in the background. It smells absolutely amazing. This smells really, really good. I find this to be one of those crowd-pleasing fragrances. Again, this is a clean beauty brand, so if you haven't smelled this, like, I understand the cult following behind this fragrance. It smells very fresh, yet very soft. You have that delicate floral balance. Has a very light floral scent without it being too overpowering. However, the lasting power of this, this is not gonna last to me more than 4 or 5 hours. That's the longevity I get from this particular fragrance. However, it is very pleasant, and I understand why people love this, and I'm so excited that they came out with the body cream because I definitely want to pick that up during the next Sephora sale. Lastly, I have 3 fragrances that I haven't even opened because, again, this is what I'm working with, and these are fairly new. I bought these last year, but I bought them because they were phasing them out, and it was one that I've always wanted to add to my collection, and I just have never gotten the chance to, so I ended up picking it up before they finally phased them out. Narciso Rodriguez, if you're not familiar with this brand, an icon in his fragrances. Honestly, my mother-in-law and my husband's grandmother wear his fragrances all the time, and when I smell fragrances from him, those are the people I think about. I love his fragrances. I feel like they're very unique, and the DNA of Narciso Rodriguez is one of those where you know it as soon as you smell it. And he had this Poudre, Amber, and Rouge fragrances. I knew what these smelled like. It's not like I didn't blind buy these. I knew what they smelled like, and I actually got a good deal off of FragranceNet when I purchased these when they were being phased out. So I was really happy that I picked them up. I just haven't cracked into these yet. And that's the reason why I rarely purchase fragrances until I came across the Henry Rose line. And that's because this is what I eventually want to exclusively wear, of course, with the exception of certain fragrances here. I would say that fragrances I always keep in my rotation, and one that's not mentioned here because I can't find the backup bottle that I have is Gucci Rush. You guys know Gucci Rush. That is a fragrance that will always be in my collection. However, I cannot find my backup bottle of that. If you have not smelled Gucci Rush, see, that's a fragrance where just blind buy it. You're gonna love it. Nobody, like, not a single person I know doesn't like Gucci Rush. I know now there's gonna be a ton of you who are gonna leave a comment and say, I hate that fragrance. But I love that fragrance. I always have it in my line, but in my lineup. But I feel like fragrances that I will always love to keep in rotation, will be obviously Ginger Biscuit because it's just so unique, but this is not part of their permanent line. So it's like whenever they decide to take it out of the vault and bring it back for the holidays, you know. I would probably always have this Love Fest Burning Cherry because, again, I love me a good cherry scent. Bitter Peach I find to be extremely unique, and probably will always have a bottle of this somewhere. I really do love this fragrance. It smells wonderful. Obviously, Rose Magnolia. If the Merchant of Venice ever comes to the States, obviously I will maybe stop hoarding this bottle and, you know, actually like use it more. But again, it's like if I run out, I can't buy it again. So there goes my memory of my honeymoon and all that. So we're not gonna do that. And of course, the Fenty fragrance. This will be one that'll always be in my rotation just because they're just very, very unique in their DNA. And obviously, it would be, for me, out of all the Henry Rose fragrances, it would be Smith, Windows Down, Jake's House, Queens and Monsters, and Sheep's Clothing. And the reason I'm not gonna say Flora Carnivora is because I feel like my mom she's owning this fragrance, and at some point my brain is gonna make a memory with this fragrance in her, and I feel like it's gonna belong to her. I feel like that's where this is going. And so this one's a toss-up, but I really do love my Henry Rose fragrances. And if anything changes, if I purchase any new fragrances, of course I will let you guys know. But that completes this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that I didn't bore you too much, and thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, leave your comments down below and I will try to do my best to answer them. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and see you next time. Bye.